Hello and welcome.
Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. There's my chat. I hope everyone is having a great Tuesday, a
Absolutely.
wonderful week.
Can't believe it's August already.
I know. It is toasty, roasty, and warm here in Texas. How's it over where you are?
It's been a little rainy and a little messy. Today may have been one of the cooler days we have here in Charlotte. Nice for a bike ride, but it's nice. It's still giving summer vibes. We can still go to the beach or the lake.
There
So
you
that's
go. There you go. So we'll get started. If hot human St. Louis, there you go.
here.
That was about what I was going to ask. If we could get everyone to just put where you're coming from, where you're joining us from in the chat. And if you want to let us know what's your weather like today from Ireland. I love that.
Ivan, hello.
I love that so much. Cooler day in
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. I've been to Milwaukee.
Charleston.
Charleston,
Hi,
South Carolina. I was
neighbor.
gonna say there's a neighbor. Hot in Denver.
We love Rochester. Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Now,
Well,
Valerie, which Denver is that? We have a Denver in North Carolina. Is that, Colorado? Which Denver is
it's
that?
Denver.
Are you my neighbor?
Colorado.
Colorado. Oh,
Not your neighbor.
nice.
Not your neighbor. Well, hello everyone and welcome. I want to make sure we are honoring everyone's time. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, but no worries. We are recording the session. And so if anyone needs to step away or you missed something, this webinar is being recorded. So we're just so glad you could join us today. My name is Jamie Jo Morgan. I'm here with my colleague, Jasmine Cox, and we're both customer success managers here at Thrively. We have the privilege of partnering with schools across the country to help build thriving learning environments.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And once again, welcome to our webinar, Ready, Set, Thrive, 4 keys to unlock student engagement from day one. So over the next 45 minutes, we're just going to share 4 essential conditions that help humanize learning from day one: strengths, well-being, hope, and connection. Each condition will be paired with practical tools and strategies you can take back to your classroom immediately. So, our goal today is just simple. By the end of the session, you'll leave with ideas you can use to build a thriving, strengths based classroom where every student feels seen, valued, and ready to succeed. So before we get started, let's just take a quick second and give ourselves permission to pause. I want to invite you truly to give yourself permission to breathe and reflect. How are you feeling right now? How are you functioning, not just professionally, but personally? We know that this time of the year, so many of us are running on fumes and coffee. The calendar and the clock are moving way faster than we can. But here's the truth: we can't pour into others when we're running on empty. So this is a space to just simply be with us. No need to perform, no need to solve anything. We just check in with yourself. That's where the real connection begins. So let's pause together. I already see some people commenting in the chat under stress. I understand. Let's pause together for about 20 to 30 seconds and let us know in the chat how you are feeling today. So you can take a look at the visual on the screen. If I were to model, right now, I'm feeling like a number 7. Jamie, what about you?
You know what? I think I'm feeling number two a little bit. It is warm here in Texas. I'm gonna survive.
I like it. I like it. Let's see what else we have going on in the chat. Feel free to look at those number 6. Thank you.
Got a 6 in the house. Feeling pumped.
8. 4. Awesome 4s. Yes.
Yeah.
Feel it. 6. Thank you guys for sharing. Thank you all so much. And as we continue to share, Jamie, I love being able to be in this space together where we can stop and have permission to pause and breathe.
Thank you, Jasmine. And these kinds of quick check-ins not only ground us, but they also model what we can offer our students. So I do want to, you can still keep sharing in the chat, but I want to move on to some quick housekeeping before we dive into our strategies. So today's session will last approximately 45 minutes. And together we're going to explore how educators are empowering entire teams with tools, resources, and a mindset to just embrace strengths-based education, how that's transforming student engagement and achievement. So feel free at any time to use the chat for questions during the presentation. We'll address as many as possible, either during or at the end of our time. And just any comments, conversation throughout that you want to share, please feel free to use that. Webinar certificates will be sent to your registered email address within 48 hours. So just keep an eye on your inbox. And a recording of today's webinar, along with any additional resources, will be made available within 48 hours as well. So we'll send you an email with a link to those. For those of you that are school-based educators hoping to pilot Thrively, we'd love to connect with your principal. So instead of scanning a QR code, we're going to drop a link in the chat for you. And if you take a quick survey there, introduce us, and help us make those connections, you'll be entered to win a chance for a free Thrively pilot. So thank you again for joining us today. We're so excited to spend this time with you. And let's get started. I'm going to start with my quick introduction. I'm Jamie Jo Morgan. I'm a manager of customer success here at Thrively, and I've been in education for about 17 years. My background includes many things, from kindergarten all the way up, but I did most of my time serving as a gifted and talented instructional specialist, where I created a whole program for my district. Outside of work, I am a mom of two incredible children, a huge supporter and participant of musical theater. Right now, we're in Annie.
Love that. Love that, Jamie. I love being able to share those experiences with you. And again, my name is Jasmine Cox. I'm also a manager of customer success here at Thrively. I've served in education for the last 15 years. I've served as a teacher. My first role was as a kindergarten teacher, transitioned over to special education director, and finished my tenure in your traditional brick and mortar as a principal. So I've sat in many of your seats before. I too am also a mom of two amazing children, an 11-year-old and my son who just turned 9 on Saturday. Super exciting. I'm also a Broadway enthusiast, and I'll admit it, I am a huge Marvel movies fan. So, together, Jamie and I bring a diverse and a wealth of knowledge and experiences and passions to this work. And we're just so excited to be able to share them with you today.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jamie. So, as we transition, I want to start with one powerful question we ask at Thrively. What's strong with you? Our mission is to bring a paradigm shift in education, moving from a deficit lens of what's wrong with you to an asset based approach of what's strong with you. That one shift is how we began to humanize learning. And this isn't just about fluff, guys. It's about real outcomes, strengths based, joyful, and hopeful classrooms that lead to meaningful academic success. All right, Jamie, can you talk to me a little bit about why, the work that we've done together in the last 6 months since I've been here at Thrively? This is one of the things that you showed me when I walked into this space, and you were very passionate
Oh,
just
absolutely.
for long. So can you walk me through and walk us through
Sure.
your
Sure.
connection?
This is one of my favorite tools, and I say if you do nothing else today, print the What's Strong With You poster and hang it up. It's a visible way to keep strengths front and center in your classroom, and students can think of not only their strengths, but the strengths of their peers, which fosters that culture of recognition and affirmation. I like to say one of my favorite places to put this, and most people don't think of it, is the bathroom mirror in your bathrooms, because when a student is feeling bad and they want to escape because they don't understand something, where do they go? They run to
Love
the bathroom. So as they're standing there washing their hands and they might be feeling bad about what they don't understand, they can look up and see this What's Strong With You poster and be reminded that maybe they don't understand this thing, but they've got strengths that are going to help them.
Jamie, I love that. I would also, because I'm from the elementary space, I just also suggest placing these posters right by the classroom door, by our school door, where they enter, where they exit. And every time students enter, they are reminded of what makes them unique and powerful. It's a small but powerful way to reinforce belonging and spark conversations about strengths every day. And honestly, not just for our students, but for our educators and leaders in our academic spaces. So, Jamie, let's just dig a little bit deeper into how these strengths come to life in Thrively.
Absolutely, I'd love to. So here's what we hope you'll take away today. We want with an understanding of the four core enabling conditions to support thriving learners. So let's outline those outcomes clearly. So by the end of our session, you'll understand the four core enabling conditions that support thriving learners. You'll identify one practical strategy per condition that you can implement in the first weeks of school and learn how to print and use strength certificates, class snapshots, strength profiles as part of your back to school relationship building. We're going to explore visibility tools such as our new QR codes feature and real world applications for strengths. And then, most importantly, you're going to leave with actionable next steps to humanize your classroom from day one, or if you've already started, from day tomorrow. So, we all know that the first few weeks of school set the tone for your entire school year. So, just think about it. During that time, students are deciding if your classroom is a place where they feel like they belong, where they're challenged, where they want to engage. And too often we focus on rules, routines, logistics. And yes, those things are important, but the strongest starts begin with building intentional relationships. When students feel seen, valued, and connected early on, they're more likely to persevere through challenges, take academic risks, and stay motivated. So, today we'll show you those four conditions that help you do exactly that. And they go beyond the first day of school. So, now that we've outlined our outcomes, we're going to pause and bring you into the conversation. So, Jasmine, can you go ahead and let us know what we're doing here?
Absolutely. We're going to activate some engagement here with the poll. When you think about the first weeks of school, what do you believe sets the strongest foundations for success? Is it clear routines and expectations, strong teacher student relationship, engaging academic content, or recognizing student strengths? So I'm going to activate a poll here. Would love to see your responses. Just take a second. And if it's more than one, you can choose more than one. That is totally okay. Sometimes we're focusing on all of these things. Thank you guys. Oh, great. Great engagement here.
Mhm.
Really great engagement here. Thank you all. Just a few more seconds. Wow, we're really moving the meter there, Jamie.
I see that.
Love
I see
that.
that. And obviously those strong student teacher relationships, we're kind of having a most people think that and then also setting clear routines and expectations. And I think those things can go hand in hand. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely. And then when you recognize your student strengths, that's going to help to reinforce all of those other things.
Thank you guys so much. And what's powerful here, Jamie, is that no single answer stands alone. Routines,
Exactly.
relationships, content, and strengths all matter. And that's exactly why we want to frame them through the four enabling conditions for learning. So whether you chose routines, relationships, content, or strengths, or all of them, what you're really pointing to are the deeper conditions that allow students to thrive. So that's exactly what we're going to next. The Thrively framework captured those ideas in four enabling conditions: strengths, well-being, hope, and connections. And together they help you put into practice the very things you just identified in this poll. So thank you again so much for engaging. We're going to move over to break these down one by one and talk about what they look like in action. How do we make this an actual reality?
Absolutely. I was just trying to close the poll.
No worries. Thank you, Jamie.
All right, so as you saw in the poll, whether we're talking about routines or relationships, content or strengths, they all connect to something deeper. And at Thrively, we frame those foundations into four enabling conditions for thriving learners. We've got strengths that help students recognize what they naturally do well and those strengths help them to navigate challenges. We've got well-being, which ensures that students are psychologically ready to learn. We've got hope, which fuels perseverance and a belief in the future, and connection, which ensures that no student slips through the cracks, either socially or emotionally. And here's the best part: it isn't just a theory. For each of these conditions, we're going to share a practical strategy and a Thrively tool that you can take with you and implement right away in your own classrooms. So let's dive into the first one, strengths.
Thank you so much, Jamie. So, our first foundational enabling condition, building positive self identity or strengths. This begins with Thrively's research based strengths assessment, developed in partnership with leading pediatric neuropsychologists. It measures 23 areas of strengths, things like analytical thinking, leadership, memory, focus, verbal, and social skills. And at the end, each student or each adult that's engaging in the strengths assessment receives a personalized profile highlighting their top five unique strengths. And their top five unique strengths are described in uplifting, affirming language. So instead of being told what they're lacking, students discover what they naturally bring to the table. And when I'm talking to adults and engaging, I always tell this story. You think about that time when you went through your very first interview and that question that always pops up there, what are your strengths? And I remember being very timid and shy, and I really couldn't navigate or be able to construct the answer to that question. How cool would it have been if I already had my top five strengths from the strength profile? Jamie, what about you?
Oh, absolutely. That would have been so helpful to be able to say, well, I'm a creative thinker, I am a master storyteller.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely.
absolutely.
So that's just one shift, guys, from what I'm bad at to what makes me strong. Because even in that moment, if I think back, what I thought I was strong in or what I thought my strengths were actually really wasn't even the correct answer. So I was being able to pull on things that were always highlighted, which is what I was bad at, being able to connect it to what I thought I was actually good at. It's just transformative. Our strengths profile that builds confidence, raises self esteem, and research shows it can lead to a 30 times increase of engagement. And when students are more engaged, academic outcomes rise. Strengths really, guys, are the foundation of a thriving classroom. When students know what makes them strong, they engage more fully and are more willing to take academic risks. So, one simple but powerful practice we've seen is starting the year by sharing our strengths profiler certificates once we're done taking the strengths assessment. Imagine the impact of a student seeing their top strengths in writing on day one. It's a way of saying, I see you, I want to know you, and I value what you bring. So some teachers print them, post them on a bulletin board, or create a wall of strengths. So we'll be able to talk us through in just a second exactly what we mean, what we talk about putting these enabling conditions into practice. Imagine the impact, again, of a student seeing their top strengths in writing on day one. So here's an example of what a complete strength profile and certificate looks like. On the left, you'll see the personalized certificate, a celebratory, student friendly way to honor their unique strengths profile. Again, teachers print these. So in the center is the individualized student profile, a narrative summary that describes each student top five strengths in clear, affirming language. It helps students see themselves not only as learners, but as teammates, leaders, and people. They feel included in our classroom spaces. And on the right, the profile connects these strengths to potential career interests and aspirations, helping students begin to see the long term relevance of their unique abilities. So, together, these tools do more than just celebrate students. They equip us, the educators, to personalize instruction and build relationships based on what students naturally bring to the table. Teachers tell us all the time that this kind of detail really transforms how they approach every learner. And it's not just for the classroom. Families, guys, that family engagement, families share that reading their child's strengths profile gives them now new language to affirm their child's gifts at home. So in the Thrively platform, you can print your strength certificate in English and in Spanish, which is so cool, or reprint an individual student's strength profile whenever needed. But this all connects us back to our first big question: what's wrong with you? And we make that question visible in classrooms through simple, powerful visuals like this class snapshot and the What's Wrong with You poster. So here's our class snapshot. So once all of our students have completed their strengths assessment, Thrively doesn't just give you individual reports. We also generate a class snapshot. So this view shows the strengths across our entire classroom at a glance. You can instantly see the diversity of strengths that your students bring, whether your class leans heavily towards leadership in academic or athletic, or have a strong mix of analytical and the creative thinker. So that visibility alone, friends, helps you as an educator plan intentionally. How can I group students so that strengths complement each other? Where might I need to nurture an underrepresented strengths in the room? And how do I make sure every child feels valued for what they uniquely contribute? So, this class snapshot also makes strengths a shared experience, not just an individual one. When students see themselves as part of a bigger picture, a classroom community with so many talents, so many strengths, they begin to value both their own strength and those of their peers. So that leads us to this one simple tool but powerful strategy that we're going to share, making strengths visible every day. Let's take a look at what it looks like in practice. Here we are. This is the one powerful strategy that you can do. Now that we've taken the strengths assessment, we have our class snapshot. Now we can move to making our strengths visible. We want every classroom and really every school space to reflect the strengths of the students who feel it. When a student walks into our rooms and sees themselves, their identity, their voice, their value represented on the walls, it sends a powerful message that they actually belong here. This is just one powerful example, a strengths-based bulletin board that celebrates who students are, not just what they do. And yes, I understand that this is a mindset shift, but it's also a visual shift because when strengths are visible, they stop being just an idea in a folder or a report or the strength certificates. They become part of our culture. And strengths are just the beginning. Our second enabling condition is all about ensuring students are emotionally and psychologically ready to learn. And for that, I'll hand it back over to Jamie to take us into well-being. Jamie, you ready?
Yes, thank you so much, Jasmine. So, our next enabling condition is one that I'm sure we all feel is so deeply important right now, and it's supporting student well-being. And there was actually a question that was posed earlier. What do we use for emotion checks? Here we go. At Thrively, we define well-being as the intersection of how students are feeling and functioning. And let's just be honest, how often do we stop to check in with our students before jumping into content? I know our minutes are limited, our time is limited, and we feel like we have so many things to teach them, but are we really taking a moment to check in with our students to see how they're feeling and functioning? So that's why Thrively partnered with Arizona State University and the Center for Whole Child Education to create the Wellbeing Index. And it's a 60 to 90-second check-in that's built on over 20 years of research. So in elementary, there are just 6 prompts, 6 quick questions, 12 questions for secondary, and it gives educators a real-time actionable insight with no curriculum time lost. This is literally something they can do as they're coming in and unpacking. Take that well-being check-in. And even the most brilliant lesson plans, it doesn't matter, it won't land if your students aren't psychologically ready to learn. So that's where well-being comes in. Thrively's well-being check-ins give you quick, actionable insights into how students are doing. It takes less than a minute. You can see the patterns in real time. Who might need a quiet check in, who might need a conversation, maybe a referral to a counselor, and whose responses have shifted over time. One teacher I work with uses Monday mornings, it calls it Mindful Monday, but you could use Thrively Thursday, Wellbeing Wednesday, anything. If you do it once a week, even, that's still going to help. This small action has built tremendous trust in the classrooms where it's been enacted. The key is consistency, making well-being a normal, expected part of your classroom culture. So let me show you what that looks like in practice. Once students complete their check-ins, you're not left guessing. You get a clear visual representation of data that gives you a real picture of classroom well-being. What can you do with that? Well, once students complete their check-ins, you're not just left with a gut feeling. You receive real-time visual data that gives you a clear picture. One simple way to bring that practice into your classroom is the Thrive Meter. It's just a classroom strategy that you can implement again right away, even outside of the Thrively platform. Here's how it works. Students walk in, they place themselves on the thermometer visual, green for high well-being, yellow for medium well-being, red for low. It's a quick, non-verbal that gives you a sense of the room's energy before you even begin teaching. So this strategy pairs beautifully with Thrively's well-being index. The Thrive meter gives you an immediate pulse at the start of the day, while the well-being index offers deeper research-based insight later in the day or later in the week. And also you can see the data over time. So the impact is practical. You know who needs to be checked in. You know who's ready to learn and to lead, and you'll know how to shift your lesson to meet the students where they are. If you make this part of your classroom culture over time, it becomes a simple daily rhythm that says, hey, your well being matters here. So I want to pause just for a moment. If you had access to a resource like the Thrively Wellbeing Check In or the Thrive Meter in your classroom, what impact would it make? So you've got your next poll, and I want to pause just for a moment to let you think and consider.
Oh, these are good. Jamie, I love the way that you really walked us through well-being. The Thrive Meter is actually so much fun. Again, it's a quick visual. You could put it at your door. I was one of those teachers who was always at the door when my students arrived every day to let them know, remind them that they were safe, they were welcome, they were valued. I wanted them there to be in my classroom with me. So I think that was a great example. And the poll is super engaging right now. It would help me spot patterns and intervene earlier. That's good when normalized talking about well-being in my class. I love that.
Absolutely, absolutely, because there is a stigma around talking about well-being, and if you just make it part of the culture, then it becomes easier for those kids who might not share initially to feel comfortable sharing with you. I was that teacher that I was the same. I met kids at the door, and after the first week, I could tell in their faces before they even got to me how they were emotionally. Um, but it might not be something that they were going to express to me. They're not going to come up and say, hey, I'm feeling and functioning poorly. I need help. But this way I could intervene. And this changed our dynamic in our classroom as far as behavior as well. We went from multiple office referrals per day to zero for many weeks in a row simply by doing a well-being check-in and catching those early and having those quick conversations. So thank you so much for everyone who participated in the poll. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Jamie. Really appreciate that story and that connection, and just being able to reiterate that these small steps add up to a stronger classroom culture. And if well-being is about supporting students in this present moment, the next condition is about helping them look ahead with confidence. That condition is instilling hope, a measurable cognitive skill that fuels perseverance and future mindedness. So let's explore how we instill hope in every learner. Thank you so much, Jamie. So, our third enabling condition we focus on is one that often gets overlooked, but it is one of the most powerful ones: instilling hope. And I want to be clear, we are not talking about hope as an emotion. And I'll say that again. We're not talking about hope as an emotion. We're talking about hope as a cognitive trait, something measurable, malleable, and deeply impactful. So the Hope Index used in Thrively is based on the work by Dr. Rick Schneider, who pioneered the hope theory in the early 2000s. So over the past 25 years, research and neuroanalysis of the frontal cerebral cortex, the part of the brain where hope resides, has shown that hope mediates anxiety, transform cognitive function. Hope is the strongest predictor of academic career and life success. It supports resilience, increases gray matter, and boosts a student's ability to pursue their goals. So, Jamie, talk us through, agency pathways. How do we
Absolutely.
measure all this and
Oh,
make this happen?
absolutely. So the Thrively Hope Index makes research actionable in schools. It's a quick 2-minute survey that measures agency and pathway. We can also call it willpower and way power. So, agency is that student's belief that they can take a step toward a goal, and pathway is their belief that there are multiple ways to get there. That's why we say willpower and way power. It's simple to administer, it works for both students and adults, and it's a powerful tool for uh, classrooms and school culture alike. So if you're a school leader, you can use the hope assessment with your educators. We know that educator hope is at an all-time low. Imagine if you can help raise your hope for your teachers. So we recommend using it quarterly, or at least at the beginning and the end of the year, or beginning, middle, end, not just to check how students feel today, but to track how they see their future over time. So we also partnered with Kathleen Beachboard, who is a Virginia educator and author of a book called School of Hope, to bring this research into practice. If you'd like to go deeper, we've got a set of hope resources for students, adults, and leaders you can access right now. That link is actually in the chat. And instilling hope doesn't just change how students feel, it changes how they think, how they act, how they persist. And that's what drives long-term success. So, for example, one middle school teacher uses the Hope Index results to pair students with mentors who had similar aspirations. And that connection increased motivation because students could see a real life example of where their goals could lead. One of my favorite facts about hope is that it's contagious. So the question becomes, how do we take this powerful research and make it practical for everyday classrooms?
I love that, Jamie, so much. And thank you, Martha, in the chat. We'll update that link for you there. Not a worry. Thank you so
Let me
much.
try it a couple of different.
Oh, oh, thank you, Jamie. So just one of the simple but powerful ways that we can do this is through what we call the GAP map. And I love a good acronym. GAP stands for goals, agency, and pathways. And I'll just wait for Jamie to show us the GAP map here.
Yep. Sorry, I was changing our link.
Please, this
It
is
should
the
work. Just make sure you're signed into Google so it can open your drive.
Thank you, Jamie, so much. And again, this is the GAP map. Clearly, again, I love a good acronym. GAP stands for Goals, Agency, and Pathways. So this is a visuals tool that students can use to set weekly goals. They can list the actions they can take and brainstorm multiple routes to get there. Instead of hope being abstract, the GAP map makes it concrete and actionable. And the beauty is, it's not just about setting big goals for the year. It's about building the daily and weekly habits of believing I have a goal. I can take steps toward it. And if one path doesn't work, there are always other ways forward. That's what hope in action looks like. So here's the gap map, a simple classroom ready tool that turns the concept of hope into practice. You can make this a very quick routine. Start the week with the students filling out the gap map, then revisit it on Friday, celebrate their progress, or talk about how to adjust and try a new pathway next week to reach your goals. So over time, this builds a habit of setting goals, taking ownership, and seeing challenges as solvable. And that's what instills true, lasting hope in our learners. So here's a just quick question for you again. When students struggle to reach a goal, I think about my experiences in goal setting for myself, even as an adult. Where do you see them getting stuck most often? Let's just take a quick second to answer our poll questions. Do they doubt their own ability, what we call low agency? Do they only see one way forward, limited pathways? Do they give up too quickly when obstacles appear? Or they are simply unsure how to set their goals in the first place. I think about just my lifelong journey. I have tapped into each one of these, not even sure where to start. Thank you guys for engaging. They aren't sure how to set clear goals. Yes. They give up too quickly. Absolutely.
And I've seen a lot of that. One of the great things about Thrively is we do have over 100,000 minutes of aligned instruction. And there are some of my favorite lessons in Thrively are about persistence and persevering. And those were some of my favorites to assign to my students. Was I would go find a lesson on perseverance and persevering. And I'm like, you think your problems are hard? Look at what some of these other people have been through and what they persevered through and what their outcome was. And so, um, that's one of the great things that we can do for our students is while they're young, we can help teach them to be persistent. I'm seeing we've got doubting their own ability. Absolutely.
This,
And that's where the strengths come in for sure.
absolutely. This is Jamie, and I know we have our polls here, but I just want to be able to really set some, purpose behind this and being intentional about why we did this. This is a clear indicator that you all are connected to your students. You know them, you understand them, that this shows that you are in tune with what's going on, and which I love this beautiful segue here. This just really connects back to our final enabling condition, which is connections. Because even with clear goals, strong agency, and pathways, students need relationships and belonging to stay motivated and keep moving forward. So I love that you guys are being able to engage with this and seeing how aligned we are in some of these responses. But that really grounds us in knowing that you guys are doing the amazing work and you are connecting with each one of your students. So, Jamie, can you talk us through one of my favorite features, which is connections?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Our fourth and final enabling condition is connections. So, relationships are fundamental to learning. They're truly the heart of student engagement and growth. Harvard Center for the Developing Child calls this the power of relationships. And their research shows that every child who ends up doing well has at least one committed relationship with a supportive adult. So imagine us being that supportive adult for our students. These relationships don't just feel good, they actually buffer stress, they build resilience, and they support executive functioning skills. So at Thrively, we've taken that research and built a tool that helps make school relationships visible. So our connections feature allows our educators to see which students feel deeply connected to adults and where gaps might exist. So instead of relying on intuition or guesswork, you have a clear picture of where your relationships are thriving and where they need intentional care. And that's what makes this condition so powerful because belonging isn't optional, it is a human need. Without connection, academic growth is limited. And with it, students feel seen, they feel supported and safe to take risks. And so I just want to take a minute to take a look at how Thrively brings this into practice. So I'll show you the connections feature in Thrively. And so here's a quick look at what it actually looks like. This is our connections feature. So what you're seeing is a visual map of student relationships, and it's a very practical but powerful tool for educators because you're not guessing or assuming which students feel supported. You can actually move them on the map to where it is that you feel their relationship lies with you. For example, if a student doesn't have a strong relationship with any adult, it becomes visible here. So you could take a student that comes to you, for example, to have an extension on an assignment and move their little icon into that transactional space. And you can actually click and make notes in here as well. So you could say, Olivia came to me for an extension on an assignment. And then if she comes to you because she's excited, she got a part in a play. Well, now you've got a more personal relationship with her. So it's interactive and it helps you track which students may not have those relationships with an adult. So just like with the strengths class snapshot, it isn't just data for data's sake. It's about shining a light on what students need most, belonging. And when you can actually see where your relationships are thriving and where your gaps exist, you can take immediate and meaningful action to strengthen your school community. So, to help us see how this can come to life in your classrooms, we'll share a simple but powerful strategy you can use called our connection constellation. And it's just an activity that helps students reflect on their own circles of support and gives you valuable insight into where to build stronger bridges.
I love this. This is Jamie. Thank you for giving us and sending us here. Our connection constellation, again, is one of my favorite tools, and it gives our students an opportunity to think about their own relationship. So now, while the Thrively Connection feature is designed for teachers to monitor and strengthen student relationships across a school or class at this very moment, we also want to allow students an opportunity themselves to reflect on their own connection. So, step one, each student places their name in the center because then they're the North Star. And then from there, in the surrounding circles, they write names of their classmates, their friends, or their trusted adults, their inner circle, their middle circle, their outer circle. And then students reflect on their constellation. Who would you like to bring closer? So, each student picks one small action this week to strengthen a connection, like sitting with someone new at lunch, or greeting a classmate by their name, or checking in on a peer. Again, this gives students agency in building relationships while also giving you, the teacher, insight into who may be feeling isolated or overlooked. So when combined with our Thrively's connection feature, you're getting both perspectives, a student-driven reflection, and a teacher-driven data view. So whether through the platform or through activities like this, the aim is the same: making connections visible and actionable. So, our last poll of the day, let's pause and hear from you one more time. What makes it hardest to build strong connections with every student in your classroom or at school? What makes it difficult? What are some of those things? I could think about my time in the classroom. What makes it difficult or their hardest to build strong connections with every student? Large class sizes, limited time. Some students are reluctant to engage. Maintaining consistency over time is how you start out, is how you have to hold out, right?
Mm.
Making sure no student slips through the cracks.
I was the post-it note queen on that one. I had a post-it note for each one of my students, and I was always writing to make sure that I was saying something about each one of them. But it made for a lot of post-it notes when I had multiple classes. Consistency over time is absolutely.
And Jamie, as we're finishing up the poll, I just want to say that all of these answers and responses really reflect the reality that all
Mhm.
educators face every day. And
Absolutely.
that is exactly why Thrively exists, to help you close these gaps and make sure no student is left unseen. So, as we're ending and get ready to wrap up our time together, so sad, time goes by so quickly.
I know, it's so fast.
We
So before we wrap up, I do want to show you our brand new QR code feature that makes
um,
it easier than ever to share student strengths and work with families in your schooling community. So here's how it works. You can generate a QR code for a student strengths profile right there under my classes. And I want you to just think about the possibilities. You've got displays. You can create a strengths bulletin board where each student's QR code links to their profile. Parent night, you can post those QR codes around the room so families can scan and instantly see their child's strengths. Uh, Conferences, that QR code on student desks or on their folder so that families can access it during the meeting. Outside your door so that visitors and administrators can scan that QR code and see what's happening in your class. It's super quick to set up. It requires no login for viewers, and it adds a personal interactive touch to sharing student growth. And remember, this connects right back to our earlier theme where we make strengths visible. So, as you're planning your classroom setup, think about where a QR code can invite a connection, spark a conversation, or make a strength visible to others.
Thank you so much, Jamie. I love the QR code feature. I wish I had that years ago when I was a principal and I was taking people through my school and being able for just district leaders and being able to engage. So I love that we now have that new feature. So as we're closing in on time together, guys, it's been such a joy. I see you guys engaging in the chat. Let's just do a quick recap of what we explored together. Strengths. Help students see and use what they do best. One way to make this real is through the strengths bulletin board. Well-being ensures emotional readiness for learning and psychological readiness for learning. A simple tool like the Thrive Meter helps students pause, check in, and build consistency and reflecting on how they're doing. Hope fuels goal setting and perseverance. We talked about the gap map, which is a practical way for students to set a goal, identify their agency, and map multiple pathways forward. And then connection creates belonging and trust. The connection constellation, it shows students visually who's in their circle and where they might want to grow their new connections. So whether you bring these four conditions together, you create the foundation for a thriving classroom right from day one. And here's my encouragement to you: pick a strategy from one condition that speaks to you, that you really connected with, just one, and commit to trying it this week. Even small steps lead to big shifts when they're consistent. The goal isn't about perfection, it's about progress. So,
Absolutely.
as we're wrapping up, thank you, Jamie. As we're wrapping up, I see we have some engagement and questions in the chat. We're right here at our time, and we are so thankful that you're spending time with us. Jamie and I are welcome to stay on and answer any questions with you. But before we leave, we want to invite you back with us again. And we'd love for you to join us as we're looking ahead for quarter one for our upcoming webinars. You'll see this QR code here, but when you scan it, you'll be able to register for all of these sessions. So you see here, we have three more coming up that we're super excited about.
Yes.
September 2nd was Strong with You, a deep dive into practical ways to use student strengths right now. If you really want to dig into strengths, September 16th, we'll focus on wellness. So that's that well being. And then on September 30th, we'll wrap up the month with igniting hope. So being able to take all those four enabling conditions and have complete breakout sessions in the strategic time learning about each one of those. So each of these sessions builds directly on what we shared today, and they're designed to give you practical strategies you can take back to your classroom immediately. And
Yes.
as always, we don't just want this to be a one-time connection. We would love to stay connected with each and every one of you. You can find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Many of you engage with our webinar registration through LinkedIn. You can also visit us at thrively.com/classroom for resources, research, and implementation strategies. And remember, if you refer your principal to Thrively, you'll be entered for a chance to win a free Thrively pilot account for this academic year. Thank you, Jamie, for posting a link there in the chat. But most importantly, we want to stay connected, guys, because we want to keep hearing your stories. Tag us on social media, share how you're using these strategies, and let us celebrate alongside of you and share with you all the amazing work that you are doing in your classroom from day one, or from August or September or wherever we're starting now, to really have that mindset shift. So until next time, let's continue to humanize learning together as we create strengths-based, joyful, and hopeful classrooms. Thank you guys all so much for being here today. Jamie and I will stay back to be able to continue to answer the rest
Yes,
of your
absolutely.
questions. But we hope that you have an amazing start to your school year. And we hope that these resources and these tools will be able to help move the work forward and be able to create those strong, strengths-based, joyful, and hopeful classrooms this academic year.
Absolutely.
Thank you all so much. And Jamie will stay back to just answer some of the questions. Thank you all for being here.